I wrote my first blog in the beginning of December. It's kind of my story. I never moisturize, or I just started to recently, and it's actually really beneficial. But I wrote my first blog. I created my website over the past month. It was really challenging. Actually, I kept stopping and taking breaks and doing other things for like a week because it would drive me insane. But I finally got it up and at least presentable. Not in my style of presentable, but at least presentable to where I could get started and make some progress. But after my first blog, I didn't really tell anybody about it. I told like 5 people I had it. And then January, earlier this month, I wrote my second blog, and the second blog is kind of similar to the first one, but it dives into my first experience with Reset Yourself, which was a big part of my health journey. So, point of this video right here is because I just needed to get this off my chest. But when I first started working for Reset Yourself, I started following nutritionists, chiropractors, bloggers, trying to connect and network and learn from them, as well as introduce them to the Reset Yourself if they believed in the same thing we believed in. And this girl named Nutrition Vixen was someone I came across, so I started following her. And then at the beginning of January, she was making all these posts about how she was starting a women's movement called Beautiful You Journey. And it's all about being vulnerable, which is one of my 2017 goals, is to have the feeling of vulnerability. I want to learn how to do that. And so, of course, I joined her journey, and it's been about 2-3 weeks that I've been in the journey. There's only about 1,300 people in there right now. The movement doesn't actually start till Valentine's Day, but she's getting people recruited into the journey now, and it's all about just being your authentic self. And I read her story. She posted her transformation story of imperfection, and I read it, and my jaw just dropped, and I felt like she was literally writing my own story. She even talked about things that I'm actually still fearful to talk about. And I haven't found anyone yet in my journey that I've connected with that has some of the serious, deep pains that I do. And that means a lot to me. And so a couple days later, she posted, "I want you to share your story. Here's a link where you can share it." And I thought, well, I could just give her my blog link because I wrote my story there. And so I did. And she read it. And she's now added my own blog to her website. And she has shared it with all of her viewers and followers. And when she did that, I just cried. And it wasn't crying. It was a cry of like, wow, that's the universe working for me, man. That's so true. It's so true that when you become optimistic and you start to see everything's happening for you and not to you, things really do start happening for you. And right now, I cried because I just can't believe that I found this group to be a part of. And I'm so grateful for that. And you know, today she posted my blog and people are commenting and adding me on Facebook, which is really cool and all, but I have mixed emotions. I'm nervous, I feel exposed, I feel strange, but I feel wickedly awesome. I feel like this is me practicing courage, this is practicing vulnerability and putting myself out there. And vulnerability to me is very powerful. They work in tandem. To be powerful, you have to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable, you have to be powerful. And I think from the tears to that nagging inner voice in my head of you're exposed is being outperformed by what this is really all about. And this journey is still getting started for me. I might be a year in, but man, I've learned so much stuff. And I haven't put it all into practice yet because it's a lot that I wish we would have been taught when we were younger. But it's not our parents' fault. They weren't taught. It's not our teachers' fault. They weren't taught. It's not their parents' fault. They weren't taught. But it is our job to make a difference and contribute back into the world. That's why we were brought into this world. And my job is to bring that educational piece back into the world, because the feeling I have now versus the feeling I had when I would lay in my bed for weeks in the dark. I would work 80, 90 hours, come home, eat, go to sleep, do it again, just so I wouldn't have to live any of my pain, relive any of my moments. You know, my bed moments are, you know, were many years ago. And then I switched from the bed moments to the crazy work with no life balance. And I think that's normal in this world. Unfortunately, I think it's normal. And I know that when I see people going through what I went through, it tears me up inside. To where I want to jump in and help, and sometimes I make the mistake of pushing too hard and trying too hard because I just don't want that person to go through it. But it really is the person who has to make the change. No one can make the change for you. Nobody. It's the person. And I hope, if anything, I can influence and inspire by leading by example. And what I mean by leading by example is not just inspiring, but also showing you my weakest moments and my failures, because that's what it's all about. Like your failures and hard times, those breakdowns, that's when it's time for a breakthrough. You can either see those breakdowns as, holy shit balls, I'm gonna go lay in my bed and turn off the lights and not talk to anybody until I feel better. Or you can see those as an opportunity to grow, to improve within yourself with who you are, so that you can be happier, more fulfilled, more joyful, more grateful. And when you're more joyful and more grateful, you're contagious to others. That's what this world needs. We lack love and connection. But that's what our heart controls our whole bodies. If you follow everything back down to the root, if you didn't have a heart, you wouldn't be alive. And our heart is made for love and connection. When we die one day and we look back and we didn't have love and connection, we've probably lived a depressing life. I'm sorry, I'm just being real. But I don't want that for anybody. And I'm now rambling on, sorry, but I just had to talk and get this off my chest, because her posting that blog just made me feel all these different types of emotions, and it made something else come out of me. And I'm going to leave it at that. Bye, guys.